It's Friday night and weekender time once again. In this week's show, we're going mad about tanks in 15mm and 28mm with Clash of Steel from Gale Force 9 and Achtung Panzer from Warlord Games. So yes, John is a very happy bunny. We also have an awesome prize this week in the Dark Angels army set for Warhammer 40,000. Make sure to comment over on Tabletop to be in with a chance of winning this excellent starting point for the Dark Angels. Without further ado, let's dive in. Your weekend starts here. All right, folks, and welcome to the Weekender. Yes, I am joined, not by Jerry this week. He's gone off on holiday somewhere again. I mean, Jesus, the sheer cheek of the man.
How could he?
How could he? But yes, I am joined by the fabulous foursome, because obviously I include myself in that. Of myself, John, Justin, and Shay. Say hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Do your funny wave. Make the funny noises. There we go.
Fantastic. Jazz hands.
Do I have to be part of the foursome?
Yeah. Yes, you are now, and you forever will be.
There's a pre-warning that I'm driving this show today, so if things don't work, it's definitely my fault.
Yeah, hashtag John's fault.
Yeah.
There we go. That can be in the comments down below. Repeated ad nauseum. There we go.
Yep.
Right, we have quite a packed show to dive into. There is a lot of tanks in this episode, which I'm sure people will be very happy about. And in different scales. Oh my God, people are going tank mad at this time of year. But we're going to be starting off with a couple of updates. First of which is last week, we didn't have a weekender, but we did have the OnTableTop Industry Awards. Yay!
Yes.
We managed to collate all of the awesomeness from 2023 and distilled it down into an epic show where we went through all sorts of winners and runners up and everything else in between. And now, if you didn't see it last week, you'll be able to catch up and watch it over on YouTube. So make sure to go and check that out. See if there's anything that we missed. Dive into the comments. Share your thoughts on what were the winners and the runners up and everything else in between. Over the last couple of days, I'm
just going to scroll through all the spoilers of it there.
Exactly.
You don't need to watch it now. It's all there in post.
Thankfully, we've not ordered it by winner and runner up and everything else, so it'll still be a mystery.
Well, I mean, it's you can kind of guess because it really is just shit Jerry likes.
Well, yes, and me.
But you don't matter. We care about Jerry.
Oh, fair enough. Wow. That's a great start for this show. And
wow.
Justin is ejected from the call.
Yeah.
Bye!
Someone's getting their camera privileges removed.
So we've got all of the links to the winners, runners up, and honorable mentions in there, as well as a few other bits and pieces that sort of caught our eye from 2023. Make sure to go and check that out and see what you think. We have also sort of broken it down as well. So if you want to dive into the show and check out a particular category, please go and do so. We'd also love to hear what you are looking forward to, or maybe you're enjoying already when it comes to 2024. I mean, obviously the year is only 2 months old, but there are plenty of games that have already been put up for pre-order and everything else in between as well. So make sure to get down in the comments and tell us what you're looking forward to, because it's always quite helpful for us when it comes to doing the award show next year, which is fantastic. Do my work for me, as Jerry would say.
Oh, it's barely an inconvenience.
Barely an inconvenience. So yes, awesome stuff on the industry awards front. As well as that, we also are running into the final week of Dungeonalia. That's coming to an end at the beginning of March. So we'll be ramping up towards the finale there and then choosing some winners. So yeah, if we have a new project we're going to be looking at from one of our community members. So Elisar has been working on a really fun one. So this is a sort of little bit of a twist between a bit of a miniatures game and also a role-playing adventure at the same time. So it's called To Slay a Strigoi, The Tale of Sir Bernard, Grail Knight of Bretonnia, which is all also very good, obviously, because we're diving into old world stuff with everybody at the moment over the last couple of months and things. So yeah, very nice. But this one's a great one because it's the whole idea is that it's a vampire hunting quest by Sir Bernard as he goes through like a mountainous sort of cavernous region, and he's created up all the sort of rules for this and the sort of the gameplay and the dungeon delving and things, as well as printing up all the miniatures, as you can see there as well, and getting them painted up too. So it's hitting a whole bunch of notes when it comes to Dungeonalia. It's doing the dungeon heroes. There's probably a villain going to be in there soon as well, probably, hopefully, maybe. And then also the sort of dungeon crafting as well at the same time, which is pretty awesome. So lots of different things being covered in that one, as you can see. Really nice painting and a fun idea that sort of steps away from the traditional kind of dungeon delving adventure as well, which I thought was quite cool. So a little bit of a dungeon crawl with a miniature wargaming slant, which is always nice to see. Looking very nice indeed. If you are interested in checking out more projects from Dungeonalia, make sure to go and head on over to our sort of drop-down menu in the project system. All the links will be in the show notes down below. So if you want to get inspired and work on something in the last couple of weeks, well, the last week of Dungeonalia and the last couple of days, make sure to dive in and have some fun. There's some really good ones in there that might sort of spark your ideas and things like that. So dive in, and even if it's just painting up a hero or your dungeon delving hero for Dungeonalia or whatever, that would be really cool. Or maybe the latest boss for your campaign. You've still got a couple of days to go and do that and have some fun with it, which is pretty nice.
See, I want to see someone create one on the last day and do like a 1-day dungeon. You have 24 hours to do your dungeon.
That's cool. That 1-day build stuff is definitely the purview of Adam Savage more than normal people.
Yeah.
24-hour challenge gone wrong.
Yeah,
it just didn't happen.
Yeah, true. So yeah, lots of fun stuff in there for you to check out for Dungeonalia, and of course, we will have Spring Clean Challenge coming up as well in the near future. So keep an eye out for that one. Everyone loves a bit of Spring Clean Challenge. It's always great. And of course, don't forget loads and loads of prizes for Dungeonalia as well. There are so many, and some of them are absolutely huge. There are laser cutting machines. There are masses and masses of plastic. There are STL files. There are full games and expansions. There's even Hero Quest if you want to get the younglings involved in this as well, which is pretty awesome. So there are plenty of categories to dive into, and you've still got a week to have some fun with it. So yes, look, John's excited.
Ooh. Jerry's not here. Laser eye surgery.
So yeah, that's it for the updates for now. As I say, we've got the awards to go and check out, as well as Dungeonalia as well. But now we move on to the most important part of the week. And Jerry also always comes in with the sort of like dulcet tones, and Warren shouts it. I'm just going to be kind of like middle of the road. I'm just going to say it's time for Indie of the Week. There we go. Boom. Fantastic. Didn't do anything snazzy. I just went straight for it.
Exciting.
There we go. Yeah, excited.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. It's because Indie of the Week has become such a staple of what we do that we don't need to make it. We don't need to shout it from the rafters. It's just part of it.
You want to give it some gusto.
Yeah, I suppose. Especially for this one. All right. It's Indie of the Week.
Now you're talking.
And no one could
You just hit puberty at that moment.
Indie of the Week.
Indie of the Week. There you go.
And we'll just cut out which was the best version of that, and we'll stick that. There we go.
Oh no, the community gets to vote. Straw poll below.
Yeah, it'll probably be
you're missing out, mate.
my puberty-based version. There we go. But anyway, this time around, we're going to be looking at a very indie project that we have talked about on the Weekender before. I think it was sort of middle of last year, maybe even earlier than that. We dived into this project, which is called Trench Crusade, which was originally created through the artwork of Mike Francina, who'd been doing amazing stuff for this and developing up this fantastic world of heaven and hell, heretics and Templars battling it out in the First World War period, or sort of just after as well. And where the entire world has been sort of taken over by huge trenches and massive fortifications, and there are armies of good and evil smashing against each other on massive crusades, armed with all the sort of modern weaponry of World War One. Well, at least at the time, anyway. Well, this has now expanded, and Mike Francina, who we can actually check out his ArtStation page because it is phenomenal. Obviously ignore the Path of Exiles 2 logo, but a lot of the other stuff that you see there is just a taster of the stuff that has been worked on for this. As I said, when we looked at this, I think it was last year, the artwork was just blowing us away, and the ideas that they were sort of diving into. There was also a Kickstarter last year as well, where a couple of the initial models were sort of created for this, alongside James Sheriff. And just as you can see, the imagery for this is totally grimdark, totally weird. It's like a little bit of a cross between sort of like an Elden Ring and a World War One game, which I think is perfect.
Yeah, he's very happy down there.
John, I see you're looking at this soldier's particular peculiarities for souvenirs.
Yeah. He's definitely interested in blowing himself up and whatever this is, and the
Dead baby.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it out loud because it's just opens too many cans of worms.
I love all the like stuff that's sort of built into the armor and things. Like you've got the sort of icon on the shoulder there as well, which is obviously kind of like harking back to a saint or something as well, which I think is really nice. But the work by Mike has been phenomenal, and it's been really fun seeing the mixture of kind of that medieval Templar aesthetic brought up into that kind of First World War era, and sort of mixing all of that together. It's something that a lot of people have been enjoying in games like Turnip 28 and Sludge, which kind of mix together that kind of black powdery stuff with medieval. This kind of takes it that next step and goes into kind of World War One, which I think is very cool. And then, I mean, that is basically like just a great opportunity to show off exactly what the game is. It's religion and massive guns.
Religion, guns, and mud.
Exactly, yeah.
My three favorite things.
Yeah.
And all of those graves as well. Oh, it's so grimdark.
I do love the concept that, yes, we must have holy icons, but let's at least also make it useful.
It's dystopian in its evocativeness. Like it's very much we're religious, but right now this is a battlefield. We'll figure that out later.
Yeah, we need to budge this together.
Yeah. So obviously, as you can see here, Mike's been working on this game for a while and creating the universe behind it. And James Sheriff helped, obviously, as I said, with the initial models that came out for this, the kind of previews. But Tuomas Pirinen, who is the original creator of Mordheim, which is obviously a massive favorite for a lot of people, then came on board to offer his services as a rules writer for this. And over the last couple of months, Trench Crusade has been growing and growing behind the scenes, and people have been working on it in beta form and everything like that, as part of their Discord and part of their community. And now you can dive in and get yourself a set of quick start rules and also their full playtest rules for Trench Crusade. So if you're looking to maybe give it a shot at your local club, or maybe you're diving into playing it in more depth and sort of exploring the game and the world in a little bit more detail, then you can do that as part of this, which I think is pretty awesome. The game itself is based on on a dice pool mechanic, as it were. So what you're doing is you're going to be rolling 2 dice, and then you're going to be using that to refer to a particular action success chart, as you can see there. 2 to a 6 is a failure, 7 to 11 is success, and then 12 plus will add you a critical success. The dice pool element comes in that certain characters or troops will have particular special abilities, or they'll have an affinity for either shooting or combat or something, and that will add dice to the pool. And then what you'll do is you'll choose the highest or the lowest from those, depending on whether or not you're going to be adding dice to that pool or taking away from it, as it were, which I think is quite cool. Damage and stuff in the game is then tracked by a pretty gnarly chart. So there's no like kind of hit points for characters, as it were. Instead, what happens is that when you dive into the game, you do damage through attacks, you will either take a minor hit, which will sort of just put a blood marker on you. You'll be down, so you'll be smacked to the ground, which will be very familiar with people who've played Mordheim in the past. I have had many Middenheimers pushed onto their face and dragged through the mud. God damn you. Stupid elves.
Stupid racist elves.
Stupid racist elves. Oh my god, we got another Jerryism in there.
It's the Jerry in training.
Yeah. Or you can just be taken out of action straight away, just absolutely blasted off the field of battle, which I think is fantastic and very brutal and awesome.
Nothing but jam.
Yeah, just a big smear. Interestingly, talking of smears, what you'll also add is a blood marker to a particular model when they take damage. that blood marker is then used to add minuses to characters when they continue to fight. So you can, it's almost like pin markers, I guess, in bolt action, where it'll kind of make a unit worse over time. So even if there is something that's really big and tough and nasty, you can sort of wear it down with blood markers and do more minuses to it to try and sort of take it out. I think it's quite cool.
Or the hand of God might just go, yeah, no, you pip the post, you've got it. One shot, one kill.
Yeah. The other thing that's really nice about it as well is that you can also have blessings. Who would have thought there are blessings in a game that includes heretics and Templars? And that will do the opposite. So that will give you pluses to your dice pool when you're taking actions. With the game as it stands at the moment, they have 2 factions for you to choose from. So there are the heretic legions, which we're looking at here, or you can go down the other route and you can pick up, I just need to find the name of it because I've the Trench Pilgrims. And within those, there are then 2 variants for both of these sets of model, these warbands. So you can go down the route of doing just sort of like your basic heretics, or you can do a naval raiding party version. So it's kind of like your seamen and your sailors sort of charging up beaches and things, probably blood-covered beaches, obviously.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah. Or you can go down the route, and this is a really cool one. The heretics also have the trench ghosts. So these are the troopers or characters that have died in battle, and they are sort of halfway between the world of the living and the world of the dead, and they kind of like raid around the trenches trying to like take everything they can and steal saintly relics and everything else in between. On the Templar side of things, you've obviously got Templary style characters and stuff. What's quite interesting is the Trench Pilgrim side of thing is that it's meant to be made up of, as you'd imagine, sort of pilgrims and peasants and sort of soldiers who don't necessarily have that much of a fighting style. And so they're kind of just thrown at the enemy in sort of endless waves to try and take the brunt of the damage while the big knights and the Templars do the actual work, which would make a lot of sense.
Right. So are we playing with Russian Orthodox?
Well, there is a little bit of that in there as well.
Makes sense.
What's also quite nice, and you will have seen a little bit as John was going through some of the different characters and things, is that everything has their own little special rules. They have their own abilities and things like that. Like, for example, there is a wild character called the Pilgrim Communicant who just has a cross nailed to his face. And he's just this sort of like bodyguard that sort of marches through the battlefield. Also, if you go to that next page, you'll see that just these blood-covered stigmatic nuns running around with Mausers. I think it was a Mauser. Is that a Mauser?
Yeah. Mausers.
Mauser, yeah. Just gunning people down, covered in armor, and yet covered in blood at the same time.
There's one I saw, the heretic priest, that appears to have an ability where he's just like, oh, you, come here, and you get to move them. So it's just like, activate him, have him draw someone out of a trench. He's just like, okay, boys, get him.
Yeah. See, I don't want to say it too loudly, right? But this is what Repentia should always be.
Yes. Yeah,
that's
definitely.
fair.
This is what Repentia should always be.
Yeah.
They don't need
definitely.
hot pants.
Yeah, it looks like there's a flagellant above there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care
There's
about that.
even a character in the Heretics called the Bomb Witch. And as you might imagine, they're a witch who can bring bombs down on the battlefield by using their curses, which is just mad.
I mean, does the Air Force in this game literally just like pull a lever and all the bombs, they're just like made as crucifixes?
It's the curse of Semtex. You got to draw it right, and then just a bag of Semtex, just
exactly. Yeah, perfect.
So what just reads front toward enemy or friends?
Front towards whoever.
Yeah, everyone is enemies in the eyes of God. Yeah,
you are CC'd in on this explosion.
This general direction, please.
Yeah. What's quite nice about the game as well is obviously there's all these amazing evocative pieces of artwork that Mike's been working on for this, and that really lends into the kit bashing side of things. That's the communicant with the cross nailed to his face. So cool. So the idea is that there's no specific model range yet, but you're sort of asked to kind of dive in and sort of explore all the different kits that are available out there. Maybe looking at stuff that maybe people have been playing around with for things like the War Transformed or the Doomed and stuff, and using those same kind of kits to create your weird and wacky. Wacky makes it sound way nicer than it actually is.
But that's a Warhammer-esque style weapon with a acetylene burner on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Blowtorch hammer.
I am making one of those because that's
I am on board with this.
I want one.
This.
The game is kind of scaled to 32mm, but obviously you could play with 28mm heroic stuff because it's basically the same thing at the moment. And your warband is made of kind of between 10 to 30 models, so it's not a massively large amount of models that you're trying to be kit bashing for this. It's kind of one of these games that you'll sort of dive into as a labor of love almost. The actual gaming size for tables is 4x4 or 3x3, so they've been designed so that you can just dive in and play on kitchen tables and stuff, which is great. And in true Mordheim fashion, who would have thought it with Pyramid involved, the idea is that you absolutely saturate the tabletop with terrain, so you have loads of big pieces of terrain, lots of deep trenches filled with bodies and blood and skulls and everything else between, and just it's all about kind of movement and all that kind of stuff, especially because the game is so deadly based on the sort of dice mechanics and stuff that they've thrown into the mix. It was quite cool. Another thing that I really liked, and it's something that I think more games should do, and I think more games are looking to do more in their rules as they kind of bring out expansions and stuff, is things like the glorious deeds that you see there. So there's obviously the main objective and the main victory condition for your games, but the glorious deeds are kind of additional things that you can do to gain victory points. So you can dive in, and if you maybe like capture certain areas of land, or if you take out a leader character, or if you assassinate into certain generals and things like that.
My favorite is suicidal bravery.
Yeah. It's very cool.
You know what we have to do, John? We have to get you like a Mark 1 and you have to religify it.
That would be cool.
Okay.
I love that John's just on board. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board for this. This is cool. I like it.
He gets to play with the tank. He's happy.
Yeah.
Just leave him alone.
No, I'm liking that it's for a 4x4. It's a small game. It doesn't want you to just go completely buck mad with stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, it's a bit. It has a similar feel to the Doomed.
Yeah.
In a way where you're creating your own warband and going nuts with it. But
your own particular cult or something.
Yeah. They both have different flavors to them, but they're both of the same kind of DNA, and I like that.
Yeah. It feels like it's a game that was very much born out of last year's like kit bashing mentality that a lot of people had, and as you say, was a part of basically every game that came out last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the designs in this, it's all horrifying. So you could be playing two program sets together, and it's just like, are they heretic? Are they not? Not sure, so going to shoot anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the thing that I love about this. It has that really fun aesthetic to it that I think will really get people's design ideas and juices flowing. And the game itself sounds really fun. It's very quick and easy to get your head around the base mechanics. The detail is then just built into the way that weapons work and how particular characters work. But because it's just a simple dice pool, and the way that you hit and then damage characters is very easy to get your head around. I think this could be one of those games that is played a lot at like events and stuff like that, and it's really great for obviously taking that next step and turning into a campaign game and stuff, which I assume they will be looking to do as well in the future, which would be quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, for us, John, we could take one of our old trench boards and just like dirty it down a lot. Exactly. Take it from desert to mud and blood.
Yeah, could do. Wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. I will say, as I was mentioning earlier, there's no official model range for the game, but a lot of individuals have started coming on board with this because obviously it's got, the artwork of Francina behind it, and James Sheriff is involved in the miniature side of things and the layout, and Pyrenen's doing the rules. So everyone's excited to see what they do next. But a particular sculptor who we have looked at in the past as part of our 3D printing is the Shiz, is Saint Decent, who is going to be working on a collection of interesting models for this as well. So anyone who's looked at her work before has known that she does really fun and quirky knights, and has done stuff for the likes of Turnip 28 and games of that ilk and Sludge. Very much inspired by kind of like your sort of Elden Ringy Dark Souls characters and things like that, with a little bit of historical thrown into the mix as well. But if you scroll down just a little bit, John,
I see a penguin.
Oh, no. Where are the other images? Oh, no. God.
What have you done?
Wait a second. I'll find you an image. I'll share it with you.
Maybe just click the little back arrow.
Maybe that will work. Yes.
You're on X. See where it says Saint Decent? There's a little back arrow.
Oh no! Give me screen sharing abilities, John.
You already have it, Ben. Take over. Take control.
You're a co-host. You're a co-host for this very moment. I'm going to stop sharing.
You're sitting there going, "My time to shine."
Here we go.
Here
we go. Right. So here we go to this one. Boom. And we share. You should be able to see this.
Bit of thingy stuff.
There you go.
Can you see my screen now? And
yes.
So, Saint Decent, obviously, has been working on a bunch of stuff, as we saw. But this is what she showed off recently. So this is one of the multi-part Heretic Legionnaires for Trench Crusade that she has been working on, which I think looks amazing. And as you can see, is very in line with the artwork that we were seeing before. And
I mean, who doesn't need a pistol with a drum mag?
Exactly. Other creators, I mean to say, have also been getting involved in this. So this is from Tiny Factory Studio. So you know that big hulking dude that we saw in the artwork as part of the book? That's getting turned into a miniature as well, which I think is really cool. And it's really nice to see the sense of scale between them as well. So that's one of Saint Decent's models on the left there. And then you've got those huge dudes rocking around the battlefield as well. It's pretty insane.
Yes, with jerry can flamethrowers.
Yeah. So obviously a lot of cool stuff coming our way when it comes to Trench Crusade for people to dive into and have some fun with. Make sure to go and check out those quick start rules and basically get in on this indie before it becomes a big thing. You could be one of those people, one of those cool hipsters who goes, I liked Trench Crusade before it was cool. I built my warband before the game even came out.
Yeah, you know how hipsters like their coffee, Ben?
I think I know what it's going to be. It's going to be I played Trench Crusade before Wargames Atlantic made the plastics.
Fair. Yeah. I was actually going to suggest some of their stuff would be good for it.
Oh, yeah, it would be amazing for it, definitely. Especially alongside some of the 3D printed stuff that they did for the Doomed and things like that, and the War Transformed. Yeah.
But even their Eisenkern, you could convert that down quite a bit.
Oh,
because they've got that German-esque feel that's a little bit sci-fi, but still with some of the World War I aspects in there.
I just need to send a very quick message to Charlie to remind him how much I love him.
But there we go. Yeah. Hopefully you guys liked looking at something a little bit new on the sort of indie front there. We are going to be back in a little second to dive into more tabletop gaming news from the wider world. See you in a swish.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, folks, and we are back for the news. As I promised, we're going to be starting off with a lot of tanks. In fact, almost a world of tanks, but not quite.
Some form of tankception.
So yeah, this first story came out towards the end of last week. We did have a little bit of a preview as part of the kind of like opening year's gambit from Gale Force 9. But Clash of Steel is now available for you to pre-order from the folks at Gale Force 9 for use on your tabletop on your tabletops. So yes, we have a new set on the brink, Operation Unthinkable, for you to dive into, which is looking very, very nice indeed. Pre-orders are available now for this, ahead of an April release for the game. The idea behind the game is that it is kind of set, as the name would suggest, in that moment after World War II comes to an end, when you think tensions are going to simmer down, but instead they exploded once again. And so war continues. War, it never changes. And so in this Operation Unthinkable, we are seeing all the different forces clashing once again on the tabletop. Perhaps a clash of steel. I see what they're doing. And following the sort of expansion of technology as it was towards the end of the war, and into this next sort of period of the 1940s. And so we're seeing the Germans and the British, alongside the Americans and the Soviets, battling it out with a lot of the experimental tanks and the paper versions of these that eventually came to the battlefield in this reality anyway, battling it out on the tabletop. We got some more detail on what's inside each of the different sets as well. As you can see here, I can immediately see which one Shay is going to be picking. Might it be that one?
Yeah. I don't want the tortoise.
So what they've done with the game is they've tried to make it quite accessible. So everything's played out on sort of game mats rather than on tabletops, as it were, which I think is quite cool, or sort of game boards. And then you've also got all your multi-part plastic kits, as you can see there. What's quite interesting is that they are going to be using the mechanics from Flames of War for this, as you'll see by the cards that we've got at the bottom. So it'll be a really interesting sort of crossing over point, I think, for people who are diving in and looking to play the game from Flames of War side of things, and also from the World of Tanks side of things as well. So obviously World of Tanks is quite a easy to pick up and play game. The mechanics are fairly simple. This sort of takes things up a little bit of a step, which I think is quite a nice thing. And it'll be fun to see where they go with this one as they sort of dive in and explore more of the range and things like that. What do you guys think? I think it sounds like a pretty cool idea. Obviously in 15 mil from the folks at Gale Force 9 Battlefront. Yeah,
I think it's good to see some of these weirder tanks coming out in plastic. Like obviously IS-3 has been around for a while as a metal hybrid kit for ages now because of some of the Syrian Middle Eastern stuff they did way back when. But having that in plastic's really nice. Having the T-54 there as well is cool because it's the early model before the production went nuts and they made like 80,000 of them. The American stuff, the T-28 or T-95, depending on what you want to call it, depending if it has big tracks on it or not. It's cool because it was the tank they lost in a bush.
Right.
They lost it for 40 years on a driving range. They basically they finished testing it and they got out and walked away and then forgot they'd parked it there.
No one said, remember where we parked.
No one said, remember where we parked. You know?
They did put like a little flag or a balloon above it or something.
Lost it for 40 years. It's now in a museum. Looking at the British stuff, the tortoise is nuts. It's so stupid. It's the British. It's the British version of the T-28, and it's just stupid. There is one running one in the Tank Museum in Bovington.
Oh wow!
They drove it once and they went, actually, this is really difficult to maintain. We'll maybe just not drive that again.
Let's not break it.
Yeah.
Was it the one that broke the ground whenever it started going forward? It just cracked the concrete.
The level of vibrations that 85 tons or whatever it is was making on the ground just was a little bit too much.
Wow.
I mean, at the end of the war, they were getting pretty stupid with some of the tank designs.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could argue that IS-3 looked good on paper, but was actually a pile of junk in reality. But you know, like most Soviet stuff of the era, it looks good on paper. It's actually junk,
which doesn't break.
My opinion, only. The game in general, I think is going to be worth a pickup just because of playing the weird stuff, getting to play the unusual things. My only concern is that it's yet. I'm going to hate saying this myself, but it's yet another game where it's a tank car park,
right?
You know, and unless they're going to meter out how many vehicles you have per side, you know, make it a bit more sort of squad tactic kind of thing rather than just this big pile of stuff meets your big pile of stuff.
Yeah, Flames of War with no infantry.
Yeah, I hope it's more like that. I hope it's more of a small skirmish, like 3 tanks, 4 tanks aside sort of thing. Like I haven't looked.
Well, I mean, that's what you're looking at.
That picture is what I'm worried about. I want small scale.
What they do.
Well, I mean, if you have a look at the contents for the starter box, it does look like that's what you're getting.
It's 21 vehicles per side, or 21 vehicles in the box. So so 10 at one side, 11 the other.
It'll be very interesting, I think. I think they've done the right thing in approaching this from the viewpoint of adding slightly more complicated rules in there, because I think that will be the thing that draws people into it from the Flames of War side. Obviously, the World of Tank thing is great, and I like that they'd made it very easy. But I don't think that World of Tanks players, and it's something that MS Paint's talked about this week actually as well, I don't think people who are playing World of Tanks are going to be playing that game. I think that game should really be catering to people who play Flames of War and stuff like that in 15 mil, who want to do more of these kind of tank battles on the tabletop in a slightly quirkier and quicker way of playing the game. So I think it sort of fits into a niche quite well. So
for me, what I would want for this style of game is something a bit more arcadey, something very killy.
Well, maybe that's
rather than
for you, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this kind of game, I'm not sure how deep I want to go into having to manage 10 different vehicles.
I suppose it'll come into the depth in which you can apply the mechanics to each of the different tanks and things and how it works. As I say, well, as you saw there was a little bit of a breakdown of gameplay and things, so people might want to go and check it out and see what you think. Of it in 15 mil. But yeah, Clash of Steel pre-orders available for that now from Gale Force 9 ahead of an April release, so not too far off. When you think
you maybe see it at Salute.
Maybe, yeah. We're sticking with tanks, but we're going up a scale. We're going from 15, we're going past 20, and we're up into 28 mil because the folks at Warlord Games have also been working on their game, which is called Achtung Panzer. That is now available for you to pre-order from those folks as well. There is a new starter set for this game. As I said, it's in 28 mil, this one. Again, kind of cuts a similar cloth to what we have with Clash of Steel there, where you're going to be playing out tank-based battles on the battlefield. The core set comes with the Brits and the Germans there, as you can see. So the Germans have got Panthers, which seems wrong.
And there should be twice as many British vehicles in that box.
The set is it's a pair of German Panthers versus a trio of British Shermans, with one of them being the Firefly variant.
Yep, there should be 6.
We need to outnumber them.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. In a similar way to what we've got with Clash of Steel, it's a tank-based combat game, so it's not necessarily one where you're going to be playing around with infantry. In fact, you're not. The only thing you're going to be getting really are tank crews and things you can see there as they bail out. But they've basically dived in and tried to make their own sort of unique set of rules for playing this one, sort of tweaking things in little ways to make it a little bit faster to play as well. I feel like there's a little bit of the DNA of the old Tank Wars in there, perhaps, as well, which is quite nice to see. And they're sort of taking it to the next level, which I think is quite cool. The idea is that you dive in and you create your tank crews, so you can see some of the crew cards at the back there for your different tanks, and that kind of works as your little diagram for sort of how they work. It's very similar, I guess, to World of Tanks in that regard, where you've got your little crew members that sort of work in different areas and work the guns and the drivers and things like that. But they have also said that they're going to be throwing in a campaign mode for the game as well. So the whole idea is that you'll be able to dive in and sort of play around with sort of your tanks across the whole of a massive campaign, where you'll be sort of taking basically from the sort of beach landings all the way through to battling into Germany itself, I would imagine. This one looks quite cool, actually, as well. I've quite like this. What do you guys think
with
of
a
World
bike.
War II-iness? So, it
See,
does
comes
come
with
with stowage.
Yeah, this feels like the number of vehicles I would want for something deeper, more crew management style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can wrap my head around 5-a-side.
Yeah. Seems to be a... Sorry, go on, John.
It's strange to me that both these big World War II renowned companies are like, hey, tank game. And they both went, hey, tank game. And they both set out to pre-order, hey, tank game, around the same time. And it's funny. It's funny. And I like we're getting a plethora of choice, whether you like your Flames of War stuff or not. You've got the 15 mil option. You've got several 15 mil options if you count World of Tanks as the game into that as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Then from the bolt action side, you have, if you're already a bolt action player, you've got Tank War as a book to use in your regular games, and now you've got this as a sort of more of a standalone. I'm kind of more swaying towards the bolt action scale game,
right?
Mainly because I like the layout of the cards. Seeing the cards, I kind of like that crew micromanagement kind of feel to it. And it's just as quite right in saying, like, the smaller amount of vehicles gives you that more intimate kind of managerial sort of role in the game.
On top of that, if you are a bolt action player already and you're looking to expand into like a few different flavors of vehicle, you're getting a nice selection in each of these boxes that you can start playing around with your army lists.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There is that.
Look at all the detail in that as well.
Yeah. I mean, those feel like they're nice cards to look at and handle. So
yeah, looks very cool. I like what they're doing with the game. It seems really nice. I would guess you probably have some ideas as to which sets you potentially be picking up. I don't need to ask Shay, but I will. Is it the Soviet one, Shay?
No.
What?
No, it'd be the German. Of course, it's the Soviets.
Silly rabbit.
Who would have thought?
God.
I mean, honestly, I quite like the look of the German set in there.
Of course, you do. There's a tiger in it.
Yeah. What about you, John? Would it be US or British or?
It's British.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, looks like we're all on form today, boys.
We are all on form.
That gives you the Americans, Ben.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There we go. That's quite interesting though, because that means that everybody could have a separate set, and we can see how they all work. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice.
It's not because I just don't like the Easy 8 as a tank. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it. But at the same time, it's not a classic Sherman, is it? Really?
I don't know. I think German vehicles are just that little bit more pretty.
No, they suck.
You just do what I do. You look at the pictures of the tanks from World War II, and then you spray them the color of the pictures of the tanks. Now, in all the pictures of the tanks in World War II,
they're black and white.
Yeah, grey and sepia.
So when I painted all my Panthers in the wrong color, I got a bollocking from my people at the gaming club because they were like, "This is wrong," and I went, "But it's what the
Oh yeah.
See, Ben, this is why anytime I do a historical miniature, I say I'm doing it Hollywood style.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't be wrong.
It's your easy out. You just go, "Hey, I'm painting this from this movie." And everyone goes, "Oh, that movie was crap." And you're like, "Well, I like it."
Exactly. Yeah.
You've got no comeback at me, rivet counters. You've got nothing.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, it would be great to hear what folks have to say in the comments actually about these, because obviously Clash of Steel looks pretty cool, as we were saying, in 15mm, and you've got the different variants of it, and you've got World of Tanks, and then Achtung Panzer's come along as well. Maybe if people have had a look at some of the previews for these games, let us know what you think in the comments down below, which one you're probably going to go for, if you are at all, or if you prefer something a little bit different. It'd be interesting to hear what people have to say.
Got tanks all everywhere today.
Yeah. I did this especially for you guys.
They're hiding under my pillows. They're under the table right
now. Moving on to something very different. We have a new game coming out from the folks at Blacksite Studios, and also Whittle Goblin, or Witty, if you know her as a YouTuber in the wargaming space. Now, we talked about Blacksite Studios as part of the awards last week, and the work that they're doing to bring a lot of indie games to the tabletop. One of the ones that came out on Valentine's Day, of all days, for pre-order was Night Thirst, and this has been designed by Witty. You'll see her video down below, where you can get an introduction to how the game plays. But the whole idea behind Night Thirst is that it is a vampire battle royale. So the idea in this world is that vampires, as you can see there, have kind of put their differences aside, and instead of fighting each other on the streets of some mean city, they instead are diving into a battle royale throughout the city and in warehouse docks and everything, where they have to hunt down humans and suck the most blood. And the person who sucks the most blood, the person who's the best sucker, becomes the best vampire, obviously, and can claim the accolades.
I'm just set right now. I'm out of this one.
So when you dive into the game, you choose your vampires and you choose your clans, and then you will be fighting out on the tabletop to see who will come out on top. You have to suck the most blood from individuals, which are represented by the different civilians and things like that, as you can see there. But after you are also the stake agents, and these are your vampire hunters and stuff who have come in to try and sort of end you before you can sort of milk the cattle, as it were, from around the city. I saw John's face.
It's your tone of voice and the terms you're using, Ben, are making me more uncomfortable than Justin is.
So yes, it sounds really cool from my point of view. I really like what they're doing here. I love that it's a little bit quirky, a little bit weird. I like the idea that you can kind of work on sicking the stake agents. The stake agents. The TV license inspectors get
it. It's the same thing.
There is the bad B movie. Estate agents versus vampires. I would like to buy these new house. Yes. Come this way. The basement's wonderful. Why are you staking me?
Excuse me, sir. Have you got a license?
Oh dear. But anyway, sorry, yes. I like the idea that you can stick the stake agents on your opponents and try and use them to sort of take them out as well. In classic Black Site style, it's also played out, as you were seeing the video, in kind of like a 2x2 style a sort of arena, using all of the different terrain and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. So it can be played on small tabletops. It's a little bit sort of out there compared to other games that are available. I like that they've gone to the effort of creating all those fun 32mm new miniatures for this as well. I like that they're taking an indie creator like Witty and bringing her work to the tabletop, as we saw in previous games from last year, like Doomship and stuff. They've been doing that with lots of different people. And I think it's just another cool, I was going to say nail in the coffin, but that would be the bad thing. But I was thinking of vampire things. It's another thing to sort of add to their list of awesome games for you to dive into.
Do you know what I really want right now?
What do you want?
After all this talk of vampires versus estate agents and stuff, I kind of want a satirical vampire game that's vampires versus vampires, but vampires versus vampires from different novels and movies and stuff.
Oh.
So like the underworld vampires versus the classic Dracula lot.
Like Nosferatu and Dracula and stuff.
So Dracula rocking up to Edward, punching him in the throat and going, vampires don't sparkle!
and in the middle of it is Liam Neeson's Dracula just going, what the hell is going on here?
Nicolas Cage is one just standing on a rooftop, putting down on everyone.
And the ones from What We Do in the Shadows as well, for a little bit of it.
I don't know if Woody's going to watch this or not, but
do that
to happen.
We know the Black Site Studios do some fun kind of not miniatures, so maybe that could be something that gets added into them.
Hey John, you could do a collab.
There you go.
I'm not cool enough to talk to other YouTubers about ideas. I am not on that level. You know, they have charisma. I have tanks.
I think that counts for a lot, though.
No, it's a whole different thing. I have zero personality outside of this.
No, your personality outside of this is cat. You're a cat.
Well, before John feels too sad,
too late.
Let's move into the next little bit of news. This one comes from the folks at TTCombat, who are doing something very awesome. While the last game was about resurrecting vampires and killing things in warehouses across the city, this is the return of Relics.
Ooh, there's an old name.
Yeah,
tanks and puppets all in 1 week. Like this is the best.
Is it your episode?
This is the best weekender I've had in years. In fact, this is the best weekender I've had since the weekenders began, because at the beginning I wasn't involved with them. So,
so yes, this is a return to Relics. People may remember that this game originally came out from Tor Gaming. Way back
2007.
Yeah, something like that.
It's nearly as old as me.
It's nearly as old as you.
Shut up, Shay. But TTCombat picked it up off the folks at Tor Gaming, and now they are looking to bring it back onto the tabletop, and they are going to be looking at introducing the two sort of initial factions, I guess you'd say, for Relics straight off the bat. So we're going to get the Britannans, who are the puppets, as you can see there, and the Orknar. So you can either dive in and sort of help defend King George and fighting against the enemies with his puppet army, or you can try and keep the Orknar faction alive and well in their kingdom beneath the ground with these wonderful new miniatures as well. So they're all going to be returning to the tabletop, which I think is absolutely fantastic. They should be available this weekend. So if you are somebody who is looking to dive back into Relics, they're going to be up on the TTCombat web store from probably about now, as they tend to do their stuff on Friday evenings. So make sure to dive in and have some fun with this one. And,
Temptation, John?
Do
you not still have your old army?
It's probably kicking around somewhere. I would love to see if I still have it and actually dig it out. Because
look how good they are.
Oh, I miss that aesthetic so much. I love the bomber. I love the bomb. He's like leaning away from the bomb with the thing to light it. You know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my favorite is the puppers
and the Highlanders. I love the Highlanders with their little kilts and their swords that are way too big.
Yeah, they are awesome.
Look at Puppet Doggo.
Little puppet doggos. They're amazing. For anybody who has not heard of Relics, it's an awesome little game, and it's actually a lot bigger than you'd think. All of the rules are available across the the 2 editions that they've done for the game. So you can dive in and have some fun with that, alongside all of the new attributes for 2nd edition. All of the tactical formations are available for each of the different factions as well, plus their faction records. So if you want to dive in and have a look at the game and see what it's all about, you can do that. It's got all the special rules in there, all the different abilities for everybody as well. Just open that and have a look at that as well. You can just have a big old fun time with the background and everything else in between, and just see where
go up.
Go.
We can. There's a date. Is there a date?
2017 was the last update.
Wow.
16 years old, nearly old enough to drink.
Gav did some great stuff with this game. It was really fun, and as you say, I think one of the things that really sold it for a lot of people was the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
It was something that was so different from everything else out there at the time. And I think that's what drew a lot of people into the game and sort of exploring it as a
what was cool is when it was kind of in its peak, 2 of the painters I knew from Worthy Painting were doing some of the box art for it and doing some of the web art, and like I got to see them coming in with the new stuff and painting it up, and it was friggin' amazing.
Nice.
And the Britannians rock.
I will admit, Britannians are my favorite faction.
I used to quite like the Ridend that had that kind of Frau sort of labyrinth style feel to them, which I thought was really nice about them.
And she has no idea what we're talking about.
Nope.
Even if this stuff came back just as a pure model range without the rules, you could easily fit it into like Turnip 28 and stuff like that as well.
Oh yeah, all the miniature agnostic games we have these days.
So good. Like it's a miniature range that just deserves to be expanded on and just put out there. Really, I mean, I've not played a game of Relics, but I'd be very interested in actually playing a game of it at some point.
Well, from what TTCombat have said, I think their plan is to, as I say, start with the Britannians and the Orknar, and then slowly release it to the different factions, and then see where it goes from there. Because if the take up for the game is good, I'm sure that they'll want to explore it in more detail and stuff like that. I mean, they've done great stuff for Drop Zone Commander and Rumble Slam and Carnivale as well. I mean, that game has blossomed under their leadership and stuff. So it'll be really fun to see what they do with Relics, because as you say, it's a little kind of like nugget of gold that people need to mine out and get back onto the tabletop, I think, and have some fun.
It's a little piece of aesthetic flavor you don't want to miss.
I'll be very interested to see what they do with the miniatures, though. Will they do them in metal? Will they do them in their new resin? Maybe they'll do a mix of those. It'll be quite interesting to see what they do. But keep an eye out for Relics. It should be available for you to dive into, have fun with this weekend. Go pick up some starter factions and download the rules and play maybe in the next couple of weeks. That could be cool. We are going to be returning to Gale Force 9, but in a little bit of a different spin on things before we move on to the final little tiny bit of news. I say tiny bit of news. It's all Terminator based. But Gale Force 9 are working on a huge array of new projects alongside Gamefound this year and into next. You may remember that they came back to Gamefound last year with the Firefly board game, and they collected together a huge array of expansions for that game, and basically gave people who'd not had a chance to play the game an option to dive in and have some fun with it. So they're starting off with a new project, which is called The Adventures of Conan. Cue cartoon theme tune from the 90s and early 2000s. Please put that in. If you don't, I'll be sad. You haven't put it in. Oh, well.
The last time someone called that, I did put it in.
We'll find it. Go, Justin.
No, Ben. Jerry asked, not you.
Oh, I feel sad now. I'm sad as John. Well, this is an asymmetrical card game where you're going to be taking on the role of Conan and some of his villains and some of his allies and adventuring around Hyboria as part of this dice game. So it's for 2 to 4 players. And currently the idea, what they've shown off in terms of previews and stuff, as you can see here, is that you'll be one player will be taking on the role of Conan, if you like, and then you'll have allies and villains that will be played by other people around the tabletop. And you can either work to help Conan achieve his sort of adventure and finish his quests, or you can try and scupper him and sort of kneecap him and stuff, which I think is kind of cool. Although who would try and kneecap Conan? I think that's a bad idea. See what he did to that camel? Ugh.
Don't suggest that to Irishmen.
Yeah. But there's some really fun stuff coming up for this one, which I think is really nice to see. This should be coming to Gamefound in April. I'm all about Conan. I think it's an awesome game idea for them to explore. Clearly, they've taken some inspiration from Conan games of the past, but kind of tweaked it to be a little bit more sort of in their wheelhouse of kind of approachable games for people to dive into, which Gale Force 9 do really, really well. I also love that it's using all of the artwork from Dark Horse Comics, because their run of art for the Conan stories has been amazing, and it's really nice to see that coming to the tabletop. Well, coming to the tabletop as part of these card games as well, which is very nice to see. On top of the Conan game, there's also 2 extra projects. So one of them is going to be coming in late 2024, and that's Star Trek Ascendancy: The Final Frontier. As you might have guessed by the name, this is going to be a sort of big collection of everything that they've done so far for Star Trek Ascendancy. So if you've not played that big 4X game before, this will collate all of that together into one place, take on the role of the Federation, the Klingons, or the Romulans, and fight for control of the galaxy and beyond, which is very nice. So that's going to be coming up. And then finally, at the start of 2025, after the release, obviously, of Dune Part 2 and everything, we're going to be heading back to the tabletop with Dune and the unpronounceable edition of their game. Hiwizats Haderach. I think that's right.
Good enough.
Written down, so I can't be proven wrong.
Hiwizats Hadreach.
God damn it, Justin. Now there's 2 different versions of this. Which one's right? Please tell us in the comments. Actually, don't. I can't be bothered. This is also going to be coming out, and it's going to collect together, as I said, all of the expansions from Dune in the past. So you'll be able to dive into that and have some fun. So yeah, again, a nice little collaboration with the folks from Gamefound, which will allow them to reach more people and get people the big box collections for their Kallax, as you can see behind. I love filling mine with board games, and I will do the same. So yes, cool stuff there on that front. I'm very excited for Adventures of Conan, and it'll be fun to see what they do with Star Trek and Dune and any other future projects that they work on. I would really like them to bring Tower of the Elephant back. Does anybody remember that?
No.
It was the game from the guys that did the Tenfold Dungeon, whose name I've now forgotten. But unfortunately, that didn't go anywhere because their company awkward. But that game was really, really fun, and I would love to see that come back to the tabletop on Gale Force 9, because I think they do a really good job of it. And they already have the Tenfold Dungeon stuff, so I really want it. That'd be amazing. So yes, if Adventures of Conan does well, they'll bring that game to the tabletop again. That would be cool. So yeah, that's that. And we are moving on to the last little bit of news for this week. We cannot escape without turning to the Dark Masters, the Dark Games Workshop. We bow down to you and your grim dark awesomeness. It is forever in our minds. We continually play your games, even though we probably secretly hate them.
Yes, not secretly.
It's not secret.
No. I do like myself a little bit of 40k. I've been playing it for a while now. And as you will have seen as part of this show, we are giving away some Dark Angels. So maybe this would be a good opportunity for you to dive into that collection and expand it. But when it comes to Warhammer 40,000 this weekend, we're getting pre-orders for the Dark Angels. They are coming back again. To the top. They're back again, like the Renegade Master. Dark Master, the Master of Repentance.
They've had 3 comings this past 6 months. Like, come on.
Yeah, but clearly, in the backstory, the lion's back, he's doing his thing, and obviously the other Dark Angels aren't so happy.
Is it literally the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
Oh my god. Oh. He does like to walk through things and appear in different realities.
Because now the wardrobe's been kicked open. We got Terminators and stuff now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's a new bit of fan fiction.
Yeah, it's just face belial.
It's face belial.
So yes, leading the way for the pre-orders this weekend to add to your Dark Angels forces is Asmodai, the Master of Repentance, who we have seen in previews before. He is now available as a model for you to pick up. You can get him with the hood up or the hood down. Why you'd ever have him with the hood down is beyond me. Hoods up equals cool.
Yep.
Always. The same goes for Belial as well, the Grandmaster of the Deathwing. He is going to be popping up with his fantastic model in Terminator armor, as you can see there, to lead your Deathwing Terminators on the tabletop. Looking very nice with his Stormbolter at the ready and his epic sword, and a flaming bad guy, because it's the Grimdark. So, of course, you've got to have one, obviously. Yep. Nice new model there as well.
They've drilled their barrels. Fire and skulls.
Did you guys see the drilled barrel thing that was exploded on Warhammer community this week?
No.
No? Oh my god.
Why would you go to Warhammer Community for anything?
Don't pay attention unless you have
I
to.
have to do work, John. Okay?
Well, that's a you problem.
Yeah, you're
Ben.
getting paid to look at it.
That's true, yeah.
Tens of thousands of people go there on purpose.
That's true.
I'm just waiting for Big Daddy Lionel Johnson to turn up and double tap each of them in the back of the head.
You're all heretics. Yeah.
My chapter now.
He's been quite nice to all the heretics recently, but we'll talk about that in a bit. The drilled barrel thing. Games Workshop put up a blog this week saying, do you drill your barrels or do you not? And because people are petty, they all had a go at people who don't drill their barrels, like me.
Hi.
Because
Same.
everything, time is too short. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to drill barrels. And it exploded into quite a conversation on Reddit and beyond. I come down on the side of do whatever the hell you want is my prerogative. So there we go. Just
anyone watching this who disagrees with the fact that we don't drill barrels, you're outnumbered by us.
Yeah. Well, it'll be even worse if I tell you that in some cases I have just used a Sharpie and put a black dot on it. So there we go.
That works.
And it's always been at an odd angle.
I don't drill my barrels anymore because I could never make, especially on the store bolters, I could never get them lined up.
Yeah.
Well,
so like googly eyes. Like a googly eye storm bolter.
Oh, it's like that GIF meme of the sort of oddly painted Space Marine with the eyes off at weird angles and stuff. Yeah.
It's the same picture, my friend.
I mean, I have finally settled myself that I am now able to paint eyes.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
So there's progress.
It's progress. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Returning to the Dark Angels, though, we have a few more releases as well coming up. So obviously we saw the characters. So we had Belial and we had Asmodai, but we also have the Inner Circle Companions, and this is the set that is making me think about returning to my Dark Angels Force that I started last year and never finished. So these are heretics, come loyalists, that the Lion has tasked with defending the various heroes of the chapter. They come with their Calibanite greatsword, as you can see there, because the best thing to do in a gunfight is bring a gun. Bring a gun, obviously, but also to bring a sword, because that's how you defeat your enemies in the sci-fantasy future. This set allows you to make a variety of different customized versions of these Inner Circle Companions. So depending on which way you want to go with them, you can make them characterful and sort of matched to different heroes within your force, which I think is quite nice.
Did the Lions somehow get Primaris?
Pardon, sorry, what was it?
Did the Lions somehow get Primaris?
The Dark Angels were given Primaris.
The Dark Angels have Primaris.
Yeah, but I thought the Lion had stayed separate from the chapter.
The Lion had.
Yeah.
These are his companions. And they're made up of all sorts of different things.
All over
different places.
I am confuzzled.
The Lion isn't a Primaris Marine, Justin. That's not how it works.
Oh,
I didn't say that.
He's a big Primarch boy. As well as that, so if you want to pick up the Inner Circle Companions, they're going to be available to pre-order this weekend. But there's also the Deathwing Knights. So they were
the excellent Black Terminator. Black Templars. Yeah.
Black Templars, yes. Because of the tabards and stuff, so these are available separately now as well to pre-order. So you'll be able to pick those up. You get a little Watcher in the Dark, and you can arm them with their swords, or you can go for they have the power mauls. I kind of liked when they had the flails. The flails were the best thing for me. Why they turned them into power mauls, I don't know. But there we go. You'll additionally be able to pick up the upgrade and transfers collection as well. So you'll be able to get all the different sculpted shoulder pads for you to use in your Primaris Space Marines alongside hooded heads, because hoods are best. And all sorts of different bits and pieces there for your Terminator kits. So if you've got some of the Leviathan Terminators and things like that, this might be a good opportunity for you to sort of upgrade them. I like that they managed to fit a Watcher in the Dark in there as well, just as sort of like a little bonus additional thing. I think it's quite nice.
Yeah, he stole someone's diary.
That's Lionel Johnson's diary. Yeah, it's about how much he loves trees.
God, I miss Caliban.
Why it fractured. But then alongside that, there's also the Codex, which will come in its limited edition form and its regular form as well for retail. Finally, you'll be able to use this in your tournaments. And then they've also got a nice set of dice and the data cards, which will be out of date before you know it. But the dice will never go out of date because you can't change numbers. So yes, you'll be able to pick those up. I love the little marbling effect on those. It's very, very nice. Definitely get those for your collection if you're a Dark Angels fan.
You say that until, 14th edition comes out with proprietary dice.
Oh. Yeah. They start on the number 3 and go up to the number 9.
No, they don't use numbers at all. It's just symbols.
Oh god. Ah. No.
They hire a guy from Fantasy Flight Games.
No. No more tokens.
So this is Warhammer 40,000 Legions.
So hang on, your PTSD is post-token distress syndrome?
Yes.
I hate tokens with a passion.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Some games are death by token.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, yes, I would like Belial. I think that's a cool model.
It is a cool model.
Because I'd make him a captain for my Blood Angels.
There we go. That'd be that'd be really cool, actually. I think that would look very good in red. Oh, it's lovely. Yes.
Damn right.
Just scrape off all the iconography.
Yeah. Wings are fine, though. You know.
Yeah, wings are fine.
Your wings are fine. You're okay. Just add blood drops and away you go.
That's it.
But yeah.
Or, Captain, where did you get your armor? Find it.
But yeah, awesome stuff there for Games Workshop and 140,000. Make sure to head over to store.ontabletop and get your pre-orders in for those. We will have them up this weekend for you, so enjoy them, have some fun, buy merch, etc., etc. And yeah, make sure to dive into the comments and tell us what you liked from the news this week. There's some awesome stuff in there, all about them tanks, boys. Tell us what you think.
Tanks and little puppets, best
Tanks
weekender ever.
Puppets. Oh my god, puppets on little tanks. It's the next Relics expansion.
Stop it.
We are going to move on and close out the show with some 3D printing and some awesome Kickstarters. We'll be back in a little bit. All right, folks, we are back and we are diving into our regular segment of 3D printing is the shiz, not the other word. And we're going to be looking at a collection of stuff that popped up on my mini factory that was sent in via a letter. No, it wasn't. We found it in our emails. I like to think it was sent in via a letter.
Electronic, not acoustic.
We got this notification via carrier pigeon.
Something high-tech from something low-tech. But yes, this is the folks at 8-Leg Miniatures. Beware all arachnophobes. No, it's fine. Don't worry. You're
I'm out.
They have fairly recently popped up on my mini factory, and they have a fairly extensive collection of miniatures, as you can see here. It sort of falls into the category of covering, I guess you'd say, sort of like not Warhammer-y style stuff. So if you're looking for alternative miniatures and things like that, you have some options to choose from here across a variety of different things, including orcs, chaosy stuff, as they've labeled them fallen, your sort of Xeno-C characters alongside tanks and vehicles and everything else in between, which I think is quite nice. And yes, they have a whole host of interesting things. So if you see anything you like, let me know and I will bring it up. But I'm going to start with this one, the Flame Lizard's Relic Keeper, because he is pretty darn awesome. Oh, look at that.
Damn.
Yeah, I see your Vulcan Hestan. I raise you a Vulcan Bestan. With his flaming spear and all sorts of different things.
He looks like he wants to boop the snoot.
Yes. Boop the snoot with the power fist. So yeah, all of these are available via their My Manufacture page, but they also have a Patrons and a Tribe. So if you're involved in that, you'll be able to get discounts on those, which is always nice to see. There's a huge array of different things. I think one of the things that was quite nice from my point of view, actually, was the vehicle stuff. I really like that we've got some more of these, especially with those people who like to do kit bashy style things. The Muscle Orcs machine just looks so fun.
You want the right now.
Sure, I got like a shock attack gun on the front there, the rocket launchers on the back. I like the
Squig engine.
And the Squig engine. Do you reckon it actually just runs around with its feet like Fred Flintstone?
Oh yeah, it does it. It does a Flintstone style, clearly.
It just works because the orcs want it to. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, the go faster button is kicking it in the booty.
Exactly. You got your sort of your grot there on the front with his explosive tipped
Witness
weapons.
me.
Yes. Very cool stuff.
Got boys.
The orc front. Oh my god, I've just realized what that is. Can you see that? No. Enhance.
It's a grot.
It's a little tiny grot running on the back of it, which is amazing. I love that. That's amazing. Superb stuff there from those guys. But yes, obviously we had a few more vehicles as well. So you got like this one here, which is the Icewind Vehicles pack. So if you're looking to throw some Imperial vehicles into your games,
Some Valhallan goodness.
Yeah. I like that you get the extra stowage bits, defensive elements as well. It's quite nice. I think it'd be quite good to have that as kind of like a piece that you can set down when it's like in position and stuff.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like mess around with kind of like artillery crews and things like that, but I like the idea of creating little tiny bits of narrative around these kind of vehicles, especially if you kind of put them on bases. I know a lot of people don't do that, but you can do it for some games. But you can turn them into little dioramas and vignettes, which I think is quite nice.
Very
nice missile. Jesus.
Very Russian MTLB vehicle inspired. Like that front is pure MTLB, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Another thing I've realized about some of this stuff as well, and it's something that I think is one of the aesthetics that you get with kind of grimdarky 40k-esque vehicles and stuff. Rivets by the bucketful.
Yes.
You can count all of them to your heart's content. But they also, because they've got that kind of World War I-y type feel to them, I could see these being something you could use in Trench Crusade to play around with a little bit. Add a few more bits and pieces on these, grim them up a bit.
I did say John has to religify one. This could be a good one.
Yeah. You got, and obviously some of the slightly more high-tech ones you might want to maybe step away from, perhaps, depending on which way you want to take Trench Crusade in your look of it. But I think
someone was inspired by God.
Yeah. I was inspired by God to make a massive laser.
God told me to do it, therefore I did.
It's not science, it's a miracle.
Yeah, but why did you name your weapon the God Buster? No reason.
The hot rod.
The hot rod, do you want to open that one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I really like this dude as well. Yeah, that dude. I like all of these things. Right, let's have a look at the hot truck.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
Little grot strapped to the front with a grenade at the ready, another one hanging on at the top, which I think is really nice. It's something that I think is always fun to see about, fun to see with orc vehicles, is people just having a little bit of fun with them. And that kind of that idea that every kit is an orc kit.
It's even got a tail gunner.
It does, yes. Oh my god, that's cool. It was this little tiny revolver, his little stubber. Love that.
That's the oh crap.
Yeah, and his Acme-sized rocket launcher on the back as well.
Of course.
Which is very nice.
Orc tech is big tech is best tech.
Yeah. So they've got a really nice little collection. That's a good breakdown of what you get
that breaks down into a really nice looking set.
Oh yeah. If you're looking to do some conversions, there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah, because obviously you can transplant all the different elements like the drivers and everything around, and the weapons and things as you see fit. I think it's quite nice. Very cool. This guy was one of my favorites. I loved that it had the little poor Imperial soldier on the base about to get stepped on. This is not a Lady Dimitrescu moment. This is very, very different.
I love the grot gunner on top of him. It's from a minigun.
Yeah.
We needed more miniguns on that armor.
Yes. Oh my god, that is a lot of DACA. I love that.
But also with rocket launchers, by the look of it.
Sundancer often dives into the comments and says, needs more DACA. Is that enough DACA, Sundancer?
No, there is never enough DACA.
Never enough DACA.
This is a foolish question.
Little grot at the back feeding all of those guns. That is going to run out so quickly.
Yeah, but it's going to feel amazing for those like second and a half.
Yeah, the burp
goes burr. But you've also got some other different characters. You've got Armarius here, who could be an excellent sort of Grey Knight adjacent individual. Although
that's definitely Fenrisen.
I feel like he summoned something he shouldn't have done.
Yeah, one of the dragons from the Fenrisen Sea is coming to bite your back end off.
Captain, I've done an oops.
It's time to end your heresy. That's very cool. I like that.
Did I just accidentally a demon?
Not again.
5th time this week.
Jeez.
Very cool. So yes, we had the vehicles as well. We saw that guy there. We saw that guy. See, clearly I'd already picked. This was another one of my favorites, the Bloodthirsty Butcher.
Ooh.
So it's kind of like an alternative take on
an
Imperial Knight. Yeah. And again, breaks down into nice little set of components, so you can do some nice conversion work and posing with that one, which is good.
If you actually wanted to build this into like some of your cityscapes, just like as a demon gargoyle standing on top of a building, ready to leap down on someone.
That'd be cool. Yeah, like a corrupted cathedral. That'd be nice.
Yes.
I love that he's got a chain blade mouth as well. I can't chew my food. My teeth are gone. I'll use the chain blades to do it.
I mean, have you seen some of the obmatics the Imperium comes up with?
That's very true. Yeah,
that's fine. Totally
different
legit.
options. You've even got a tail as well, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
I like that you've got the flat panels on that as well, so you can go in with decals, or you can do some freehand work if you're feeling feisty and have some fun with that. I think it's quite nice. Nice little close up of that chain mouth. Very Doom-esque as well, which I think is quite cool.
Yeah.
Front. Also, for those who are little fans of sisters, perhaps have some fun stuff here as well. This one's for Shay. Got some sisters there armed with some very heavy weapons, so they're into the mix and have some fun with them. The thing that's quite nice about these is that, yes, they're kind of 40k adjacent, but I think these would fit in with quite a lot of other sci-fi ranges that are out there, because they're grim, but they're not like massively over the top, and I think you could maybe play around them a little bit more. Like I think these would fit in quite nicely with a lot of the different plastic kits that Wargames Atlantic do in sci-fi as well. And obviously you can scale things a little bit when you dive into 3D printing, so you can have a bit of fun on that front, which I think is quite good. Slightly taller, obviously, but they are in power armor. Maybe they've got big lifts in those boots.
Wearing the heels.
Wearing the heels. This was another one of the ones that I thought was really quirky and weird. This is one of their free miniatures that they do. So, as the name suggests, a metal-born warrior, some kind of weird experiment that's gone horribly wrong that you could drop into like a role-playing game or something, perhaps.
Oh no, there's an old one we used to do stuff for. Dark Age, this would fit for.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Oh man, Dark Age, that was a good game. Talking of old games this week.
Yeah.
That's an impressive one. I really like that. But if you're looking to do something a little bit quirky, a little bit different, you can download that for free. More free stuff as well. You can get the Icewind Soldier, so you can give that one a test and see what you think of it. Look, stars. Stars, just paint them the right color, Shay, and away you go.
He is absolutely from Helldivers.
Yes.
Yes.
Shooting all his friends in the back.
For democracy.
I'm actually sad, Shay. Today I checked to see if I can play that. There's one component in my PC that won't run it.
Your entire PC?
One component. No, just one component. My processor.
This is Shay pointing at you in sad.
That's not in sad. That's in smug.
Yeah.
I speak fluent smug.
But yeah, very cool Demon Hunter model there. If you're looking to throw another character into the mix for your V et honor, I imagine that means fight for honor or something quirky in COD Latin probably. But yeah, very cool little character there as well, adding to that range. But lots and lots of cool stuff from 8-Leg Miniatures, as you can see, and it continues to grow and grow.
I saw a bike.
I don't care about the bike. It's the Sentinels I'm looking at.
Oh yes, these Ice Walkers. They are very nice.
Hey Shay, I can finally do my 9 flamethrower chainsaw Sentinel setup.
These look a little bit more like sort of battle techy to me, John. You're getting that kind of vibe.
Do you know, it feels like one of those free-to-play games that came out around the time of MechWarrior 5, I think.
Like Hawken or something.
Hawken, that's it. Yes, it feels like something from Hawken.
Yeah.
You know the way you always talk, John, about some Imperial planets being now cut off and having to figure out tech for themselves and STCs and stuff breaking down, and they're like, screw it, just weld some metal plates together, put it on top, that's fine.
This has a box. This box can carry a gun. This box and gun combination can sit on legs.
Yeah.
The box also had a seat in it for a person-shaped object.
Lots of good heads as well, by the way. So you've got some nice.
The pumpkins are cute. Those would make nice monsters.
These are like something that Warren would have brought to life for his Dungeon Adventure.
Yeah, one of Manny's designs.
Yeah. But some great stuff there from 8-Leg Miniatures, as you can see. Links will be down in the description below for that one. So if you're interested in going checking out what they have to offer, make sure to go and do that. Available as STL files at the moment. But maybe in the future we'll see some stuff going over onto Only Games if you're looking for physical miniatures as well. But so keep an eye out to see what they do with that. But yeah, nice stuff there for expanding your Grimdark armies, be they for 40k or Grimdark Future or anything else in between. Very cool stuff. Now we are going to come to the end of the show. We have some, Kickstarter campaigns and Gamefound campaigns to dive into this week. We are going to be starting things off with something a little bit grim and weird and set around the kind of World War I era in some fashion. So we're going back to where we started almost. This one is Blight Seas Fleet, and it is a new Gamefound campaign that has launched from Shrike Studios this week. It is a naval war game set, as you can see there, in a post-apocalyptic dark fantasy world based around the turn of the century. In this game, you're going to be taking on command of naval vessels that are crewed by humans and other individuals, but they are all sort of hunting down a particular resource, as you tend to do in these games, called the reagent. And that reagent allows you to dive into the strange esoteric art of corpse engineering. And corpse engineering, as you might have imagined, allows you to use dead people in order to fuel your ships in different ways and work the vessels and things. And so that's the kind of basis behind this one. It's very much inspired by things like Turnip 28 and games that we've seen over the last couple of years, as well as the mechanics from games like Battlefleet Gothic, X-Wing, and Armada. This game has actually been in development for around a year from Elizabeth, and has been sort of play tested and is effectively available for you to play right now. You can just head on over to the My Manufacture page and get your hands on all of the vessels, which you can see here. So they're all 3D printable. They're around the same scale as kind of dystopian war stuff, but you can kind of make them bigger and smaller depending on what you like. They're all made for resin printers as well, just as a heads up. But you can get your hands on the miniatures alongside all the faction ships. We'll look at in more detail later. But you can also get all of the rules as well, completely free, and download them and have some fun with it. So if you're eager to just play the game right now, you can do exactly that. But the focus of the campaign that has been set up by Shrike is that they're aiming to dive into creating a physical set of miniatures for you to play the game with. So the actual set of miniatures that they're going to be working on is alongside a different company who's going to make the plastic versions of these miniatures for your games. So you'll get the rulebook, as you can see there, alongside enough ships to make either two small factions for two players to start playing the game, or you can combine them together to make one larger one. The way that it breaks down effectively is that you'll have your kind of like light cruisers and stuff, and then you'll mix between armored cruisers and destroyers for each side to try and give you enough models to play on either side. You'll then obviously get all the tokens and things like that if you want to dive into that stuff. And they're going to do as I said, soft cover rulebook alongside a battle map and everything else that you'll need as well. The other thing they're going to be doing is every backer is going to get their access to a set of 3D printable islands. So if you want to level up the terrain that you get in the game from 2D, you can do that and dive in and have some fun with that on that front as well. They're also offering up a bunch of additional extras. So there's the core ship selection, which you will have seen over on here anyway, which is made up of these different ships that are already available from them. So it allows you to expand things and build up your naval force in different ways. And then they've also got the different faction-specific ships as well, because each of the factions do some really weird things. Like some of them have got submersibles and stuff, which is quite nice. You've also got aircraft carriers and things. You've also got this weird gribbly fortress that sort of floats through the sea and has all sorts of weird tentacles and stuff flickering out to try and drag you down into the depths. Which I think is quite cool. So they've done a really nice job on all of this. As I said, the actual core rules are fairly simple, and they're sort of contained to maybe 20 pages or so of the game. It's very familiar naval wargaming rules to anyone who's played stuff before or dived into things, as I said, like X-Wing or Battlefleet Gothic or games of that ilk, dystopian wars and things. I mean, look at that. How freaking weird is that?
What is that?
To flying torpedo. But where the depth of this game comes, I mean, obviously, as you can see by the bar on the side, I am barely into this. There's all the different elements for different weapons and different ships, alongside all the different upgrades you can do. And then there are all the different factions. Blah, there we go. So you've got all the things like the Kingdom of the Gloom Shell, which has all sorts of different special rules for them. The Octavian Empire, who go in different ways and play different ways. The Thindian Republic. And then on top of that, there's a whole host of different scenarios as well. So this is a 75-page free rulebook for you to dive into and get your hands on from the folks at Shrike Studios, just to see if you like the game, and then you can dive in and have some fun with it. As I said, I think it's really great that they're doing the campaign to try and bring the physical models to the tabletop. Everything else is available digitally at the moment. But if you're somebody who's maybe looking to dive into this game and you don't have access to a 3D printer, I think this is a great opportunity. Game looks great. You can try it out for yourself and see what you think. As you saw, there are also videos for you to dive into and check out as well. So there's a breakdown of gameplay over one turn, as well as a couple of painting videos that Elizabeth's put together as well. So if you want to go and check those out, you can do too. I think this one's looking very cool, and I love the aesthetic and the idea of corpse engineering and flying weird bat torpedoes. Who doesn't?
Why not?
Why not?
This has been the weekender of tanks and weird.
Tanks and weird, and I love it. It's because Jerry's not here, so everything just goes off kilter in some strange direction. Yeah. You'll notice I didn't throw in any small pictures. Every picture's been lovely and big.
Gary would be so disappointed in you. You have shamed him.
I have, yeah. Blight Seas Fleet available now, running for over a month. If you want to go and check out that Gamefound campaign, it is pretty much just started as you're watching this. Maybe I've been up for about a day by the time you're watching this, so make sure to go and check that out and see what you think. Download those rules and have some fun with the game, maybe with some paper cutouts or something, or ships you have in your collection, before you dive in and give the plastic set a go, which is very cool. Moving on from that, Duncan Rhodes, the man who launched 1 million YouTube channels, is back on Kickstarter alongside Atlantis Games with Wave 3 of their Two Thin Coats collection. This is an expansion to their existing range. They have already done 2 so far that have been available to dive into and pick it up. This one takes on another 60 plus paints for you to dive into and have some fun with, spread across a variety of different ideas and themes. One of the big things about this is they're expanding their triad system once again. So there are all the sort of major colors that you could think of when it comes to your painting, and they've kind of been split up into you kind of like your bases through to your highlights and all that kind of stuff as well. So you've got all those rocking for you. My favorite stuff is when it comes to things like the brights and the metallics and the colored metallics that they've been doing. I think they look really, really nice. You'll see some of them as we go down through. I mean, these just look amazing for painting up quirky, fun, cyberpunk miniatures and everything else in between. The metallics as well, I think they look lovely.
Ooh,
I don't think we see enough colored metallic paints. I think there are some out there from a variety of different creators, but I think it's nice to see a lot of them sort of collected together into one set, as you can see here, so you can dive in and do some really nice painting in that sense.
So blinding silks is what Ben wants.
Yes. I just like the idea that you don't have to. Well, I mean, obviously this stuff has existed before. It's not anything necessarily new, but I like that you can dive into and pick up this collection. And just rather than having to stick, just a normal metallic down and then put a wash over the top, you can just use one of these and have at it, which I think is quite nice. They're also expanding with a variety of different effects paints and washes as well. So they've been working on 4 new washes, as you can see there, which are designed for your kind of lighter miniatures, working through all the different stages that you'd use for various kind of grimdarky stuff and things. It's a lot of stuff that will be familiar to people who have explored the Army Painter range or gone into Games Workshop and Citadel, but done in a different style and different formulations and stuff like that, which I think is quite nice. They actually have said that they've been working quite a lot with the Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy community and the rest of the community that has sort of supported them through their previous campaigns in order to fix a lot of the things that they've been working on in the past. So they're really working to enhance the pigmentation, for example, in their range and help with the coverage and all that kind of stuff, which is always one of the big things with these kind of, well, with any paints really, as well as working it so that they can create a smooth base as well, which I think is quite nice. There's lots of different options for you to dive into. There are the paint sets, as you can see there, which is quite nice. So you can just decide which paints you want. You can go all in and get every single paint they have ever created, which I think is wild, but at least you'd be sorted, I suppose. Or you can just get the single sets if you prefer, depending on what you like, from wave 1, 2, or 3. They're also doing daily unlocks alongside paint racks, which they've worked alongside Sarissa to bring to life. So if you're somebody who wants to sort all of your paints that have arrived, $500 worth of them, £500 worth of them, then that's an option for you to dive into and have some fun with as well. Always nice to have options, and I think this looks like a really nice little collection. Definitely worth going to check this out. And checking out what Duncan's been doing over on his YouTube channel as well. He's been doing some previews of the range as well, and obviously he uses his paints alongside other ones as well to paint all of his different miniatures over there. So you'll see whether or not this range is for you. I know they've also been talking about looking at making sure that it's available to more people more widely as well outside the Kickstarter campaigns. So if you're somebody who's looking to maybe get your hands on these, have a look at events that are coming up at like UK Games Expo and Salute, and maybe see what they have on offer. I think it'd be quite nice. So yes, paints galore from Transatlantis Games and Duncan Rhodes. That is fully funded as we speak, and it has about 10 days left as of when you're watching this. So some fun there. And now we're going to close things out with something epic. Jerry's not here to wax lyrical about this.
Is this one we should save for next week for Jerry?
No, because it'll be done by then. So we have to talk about it now. So yes, Mantic Games, obviously we didn't have a weekender last week, so we couldn't really necessarily talk about this campaign. But Epic Warpath is on Kickstarter right now from Mantic Games, designed by Matt Gilbert and Alessio Cavatore. It is their new epic game in sort of 12mm. They've tweaked what they were doing before. They were originally thinking about 10, but they're up to 12 now. And you'll be able to dive into epic games set in the Warpath universe, set on big tables, as you can see there, with a huge amount of models per side, which I think is pretty cool. It's, as I say, designed by Matt Gilbert and Alessio Cavatore. They've created a set of rules that have been designed to be quite easy to pick up and play. I watched the gameplay video that they did with Andy, which they've also broken down into a series of smaller videos as well. So if you're somebody who wants to learn the mechanics and sort of to take it in bite-sized chunks, you've got that option, which I think is quite nice. All done off the of sort of like your D8s and stuff like that, but work based around sort of order mechanics. So you set up orders for your units. It's something that will be familiar to a lot of people who play games at epic scale anyway, and then you'll be able to follow through those orders on the tabletop and see how they fight on the table as you go between turns. They started off with 2 factions, so it was going to be the Enforcers and the Plague. They've expanded that out now to the Forge Fathers and the Asterians, so you have 4 factions to choose from the beginning, which is quite nice.
Where's my Marauders?
Well, we'll come to that in a second. The cool thing about this is that rather than have to rely on a single core set that might contain factions that you don't necessarily want, when you create your pledge, you choose the 2 factions, or maybe just 1 faction that you want to use in order to dive into playing the game. So if you and a friend want to dive in at the Lieutenant Pledge, get 2 armies, and none of you want Enforcers or Plague or whatever, you could go Forge Fathers and Asterians, or you could go for the other factions, which are coming up. And you can go for everything else in between, which I think is quite nice. You can even dive in and just use the rules and everything else if you prefer as well, which I think is quite good. You can also get particular pledges that will unlock SDLs and resin miniatures as well that you can throw into the mix to kind of build up your armies in more detail. As you can see, they have already planned quite a lot of these.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different models for all the different factions, as you can see. We'll scroll through to these ones so you can have a look at them. I think the detail on these, especially, I mean, obviously we're just looking at renders at the moment, but they seem really nice. And I love that they've kind of been able to use the epic scale and 12mm to explore more of the different vehicles that you couldn't necessarily do in 28mm, or maybe they just don't have the time to do in 28mm. You can do them in a much larger scale when it comes to epic Warpath and stuff like that. So you've got your Panther grav tanks, as you can see there, for the Enforcers alongside all of their Iron Man suited individuals on the tabletop, which is quite nice. And you've got your reinforcements, including your Striders and things there too, which is good. And your Super Heavies. Amazing. If you're somebody who likes the Plague, you've got lots of different options there. Very familiar to those people who have played Dead Zone and Firefight in the past, but kind of debiglified and turned into epic models, as you can see there, which is quite cool. And your Super Heavies, the Plague Colossus. It's like a Tarrasque, but even worse.
It's like a Tarrasque, but disgusting.
It's a model.
So you like the Uiguishe?
Yeah.
No, don't like Nurgle.
that is full on Plague weird Nurgleness. So yeah, maybe not for you, Shay. You've also got your Forge Fathers, so you've got your Space Dwarves to bring to the tabletop, which is quite cool. Your Iron Ancestors in little scale, which I think is really nice to see. Alongside all sorts of different bits and pieces. Your Super Heavy, the Hrungnir Magma Destroyer. What a gun. Very nice. And your Asterians there as well. So you got your Space Elves, but robots to play around with, which is quite nice. But, Justin, you were saying, yes. Where are the rest of my factions?
Yeah, well, no, where are my Marauders?
Well,
I don't care about Veermen.
They're getting
I don't care about rat people in space.
So the Veermen are coming, which is awesome. The GCPS are coming,
Don't care about other humans in space. There we go. There we go. That's what I want.
Yay! You can play as your not brutal space orcs, but still space orcs, and have some fun, which is great. So they're going to be landing if they can reach their 250,000 goal. Which, let me see, is it too far off? They're
getting there. They're getting there with 8 days to go.
All the way back through. So yes, dive into this one, see what you think of it. There are all the how to play videos, so you can go and see whether or not you like the game. There's even the nameless coming up at the 325,000 mark if they're so lucky as to get there, which is very cool. So you can add your sort of big beasties. That is Helldivers. But yeah, some fun stuff there with new factions to come. They've clearly been planning a lot of stuff in advance. Go and check out the rules. Go and check out the videos. See what you think. Dive in, choose your faction of choice, and have some fun in epic Warpath. I know for a lot of people, this game is kind of like the antidote to Legions Imperialis. One of the big problems with that game is that seems great, but actually getting into the game and getting hold of all the models seems to be a pain in the ass. And so Epic Warpath coming out and being able to provide something through Kickstarter, I think, is a really nice way to kind of get a big bundle of awesomeness all in one go and have some fun with it. So yeah, very cool.
Nice.
Whoa, man, what a lot of stuff. Jesus, it's almost like taking a week off means there's a lot of things to cover, but there we go. Awesome Kickstarters there. Make sure to go and check them out. Tell us what you think in the comments down below. Remember, if you want to come back and check out more from us next weekend, we'll be back with the Weekender on Friday. But if you can't wait that long and you just love us that much, come and join us on Sunday for the Cult of Games XLBS, where we'll be talking about battle reports, hobby, and everything else in between. Make sure to get your comments down below as well for that Dark Angels boxed set, so you can get started with your Heretic Hunters. And yeah, we'll move on. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll be back next week. So yeah, bye for now.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.